you're in a military career and you plan on a 20-year or retiring career, to be informed that it's going to be cut short is tough.
Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Remington Ramsey, and today we have Jamie Krakofsky from Colorado Springs out there with Brian Gowdy, experiencing his first podcast ever. So we're going to rock and roll. This is going to be a great experience, Jamie.
Yeah, excited for the opportunity. Thanks so much.
So, Jamie, we've got a few things that we want to jump into. You are a retired veteran, and honestly, it was a forced retirement from what I understand because of a brain tumor in 2012.
Yep, unfortunately.
And so I want to start there and talk about how that kind of led to the events of you getting into real estate. But before that, actually, let's talk about before you got into military. You worked in the Colorado Department of Corrections, right?
I did. Yeah.
Was that your first real job?
No, I mean, I had some real jobs prior, but this was really my first career.
Okay. So what made you decide to get into the prison system at a young age?
Yeah, so I lived in Canyon City, Colorado, which is a small town, really limited opportunities and jobs. Department of Corrections is actually the primary employer for a lot of that area. And so we were really struggling as a family financially. We just kind of made the decision to move forward with something that I could actually have a career in and actually would pay the bills. Otherwise, I was working 2 or 3 jobs, minimum wage, trying to make ends meet with 3 kids, and it just was difficult.
But what attracted you to I wouldn't think, hey, I need some money. I'm gonna go
do the most violent thing I could possibly do. Right?
I mean, you're a big guy. You've got tattoos. You're definitely a tough looking dude. I'm guessing. Yeah. You're probably drawn to it more than some, but what specifically about that job where you're like, hey, I think I can do this?
It wasn't like I was attracted to violence or anything like that.
Sure.
It was really stability. It truly was. Not that I wanted to be around criminals or be kind of locked up 8 to 10 or 12 hours a day myself. But it was really about a career path that I thought would support my family to the best of its ability.
Yeah. Well, and I know, and I want to be respectful about PTSD, especially being a retired vet and in the prison systems. But in the pre-show, we talked about your experience and some of the crazy stuff you saw. If you don't mind sharing, if it's PG-13, what's some of the craziest stuff you saw when you're in the prison system?
Sure. Yeah. So I was a lieutenant with Department of Corrections. I was out at a facility in Sterling, Colorado, and we had a major fight where there were multiple stabbings in the dining room. And it was a very, very messy situation. It was a lot of personnel on staff, a lot of medical needed to be brought in. And there was a lot of care that needed to be given to some of the guys. I mean, I know not to be vulgar by any means, but the only way to save somebody was to actually plug one of the holes that was in their necks. So
wow,
it was pretty bad.
Were any of the guards or workers harmed in that?
No, not at all. Not one guard was attacked on that one, fortunately.
Man, so you leave that scene and you get into the military. How long were you in the military before 2012?
8.5 years.
8.5 years. So that's long enough for that's an entire lifetime in the military.
Right.
And then you get the news dropped on you. Walk me through that scene.
Yeah, so I'd been on multiple deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan. I've been to Kyrgyzstan for a little visit, and then Kuwait. And in 2012, I was suffering from headaches after we had gotten home from Afghanistan, and we just couldn't figure out what was going on. And finally, about 6 months of meds and pills and all kinds of different options, which weren't working, I finally got an MRI or a CAT scan. I don't remember which one, and they found 2 tumors. Within 24 hours, I had surgery, and then just a short time after during my recovery from surgery, I was informed that I wasn't going to be able to stay in the military any longer.
And that was because of the extent of the surgery, or because they just, I mean, the fact that you had to have surgery, period, was a clear-cut red flag.
Yeah, it made me non-deployable. And so, when it comes down to it, it was a godsend. It's launched my career of where I'm at today and has been a true blessing for my family. It's military is a tough life, and being gone as much as I was quite hard on them. So
If you put yourself back in your shoes in 2012, and you're given this news, and you've got um, days, hours to make important decisions about your health, what's going through your mind about your future in those times?
it was very, very difficult. It's an unknown for sure. When you're in a military career and you plan on a 20-year or retiring career, to be informed that it's going to be cut short is tough. And you're so ingrained as a soldier that this is your life and that this is what you're sworn to do and these are your duties, that you're like, well, I don't know anything else now at this point.
Mhm.
How do I function in normal society now?
Yeah.
And so it was about a little over a year of recovery.
Mm.
But at that point, I needed to start considering what was the future. So it was very, very tough. It was a little bleak at times, and it was hard.
So the news that you got, you had the brain tumor, was heavy enough. And then, but in your head, you're still thinking, hey, when I get through this surgery, I'm coming back, and I'm just going to live my normal life. Things are going to be great. And it wasn't until after the surgery where they dropped. You had no idea that that was going to be the case.
We knew it was a possibility, but we didn't know it was a for sure.
Yeah, I bet that was frustrating.
Very much so.
So it took you a year to recover, and when you say that meant physically, but then also like recover. It was that about when you got into was that when you got into real estate?
Well, so it's kind of a funny story. I was applying. It's not really funny. It's pretty sad. I had I had about 90 applications out, and everybody that I was getting responses from kept telling me I was overqualified for the positions that I was applying for. And I
Hmm.
was like, I don't care. I just
Right.
I don't care if it's an entry level position. Let me get in and work my way up. And all kinds of jobs, Google, emergency management, FEMA, Department of Defense. I mean, like everything I could possibly consider. And Brian Vale had sold us our house in 2009. He owns an office here in Colorado Springs. And he had kind of stayed in touch with us. And we were talking one day in March. And I just told him, I said, I'm getting ready to retire and I don't have a job lined up yet. And he's like, well, why don't you come and check out real estate? He's like, I think you'll be really great at it. And I was like, no way. I was like, I need a job. I need a paycheck. I need benefits for my family. And at the time, we didn't know that I was going to get medically retired. So fortunately, my wife and I have medical coverage for life. But he said, just come out and try it out for a week with me, do a ride along, go show some houses with me. I was like, all right. So went out with him for a few days and I was like, oh, heck, I could do this. This is easy. You mean all I got to do is open a door, I write a little piece of paper, and like a month later, I get $10,000? Sure, I could do this. Well, of course, it's not like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this career is not that easy. And so he ended up starting a team for me at his brokerage. And I got my license in May of 2014. And I was just hard work and grind and put my boots on every day and go out and do it. And in 7 months, I sold 38 houses in my first year.
Wow. So what did he see in you that made him recruit you so hard?
I think just drive. So I was a no quit mentality. I'm always about the one more. I literally get up every day, go to the gym, put my shoes on, go to the office every day by between 8:30 and 9. I'm usually one of the last people in the office, 5 o'clock, 5:30, always working hard. And I think he kind of saw that in me. And I'm very, very blessed that he gave me the opportunity to move forward with it.
Well, you've seen a lot of success from that. I mean, that first year, just a monster year. Since then, consistently over 40, 50 homes. But one particular year I'm looking at, you went from $18 million in 2021 to $39 million in last year. I mean, how do you take a team that's already performing at a high level and double it in what was seemingly, for half the year, a really tough market?
Yeah, it really was. It really came back to, so I have two coaches. I have a Keller Williams Maps coach and I have a Buffini coach as well. And they really educated us back earlier in last year in really kind of getting back to the basics, understanding what was going on with the market, really kind of concentrate and practiced on those script practices and objection handling, and really truly getting back to the basics. We're a relationship based team already, so we're not driven by a ton of leads. It's truly about client care and client experiences. And we truly just, not that we had to go back to the basics, we really just refined our expertise in maintaining the basics.
Do you find it? I mean, you were a leader in the military. You're a leader now, but you're still being coached by two different coaches. What do you believe about coaching? You feel like you ever will get to the point where you don't need a coach?
I can't imagine I would. I really don't. I mean, I would add a third coach if I could, someone that could help me with maybe the business side of things as opposed to certain aspects that my other coaches maintain already. And I have been talking to a business coach to see if that is a correct integration to bring into the team, to see if they can create insight on things that we could be doing better as far as our systems and processes go. But for right now, things are working great. I believe that coaching has helped me double my business year after year and really continue and maintain success.
So why do some people they get into coaching and then they're like, they stop, or they feel like they're not getting their money's worth, or obviously you don't have to double your business to find value in it, but
Right.
you have found value, continue to spend money. Like what makes you different and your coaching experience different than theirs?
I think it's because I show up to all of my coaching sessions with an open mind. I don't know it all. I haven't gotten it all figured out. I mean, we are pretty darn good at what we do. We've got great systems and processes. But I am open to being coached. And when they tell me to do something, I actually go and do it.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people that don't find success in coaching don't do what they're being told or asked to do. And I'm not saying tell me what to do. They make recommendations. They think I can do something better here or change something here, and we'll consider it. And if we decide to make that change in our system or process, we will do so.
It's so funny you say that. I was just talking to someone. So we run a masterclass here in Indy for, about 100 people every single month. And I was talking to a potential speaker, and I said, the interesting thing is you're going to have 100 realtors out there that are technically all competing against you. And you could give them literally the keys to the kingdom, tell them exactly how you do it, exactly what you do on a regular basis. And less than 1% of these guys are going to go out and duplicate that.
Absolutely.
And what's funny is, then why do we continue to do that? Why do we continue to get out there? And I think two things. One, that giving mindset really helps you as a person. Like if you're constantly helping other people, obviously you're going to be more successful. I know as a coach, if I'm specifically coaching someone on a product or service that I'm still doing myself, I'm way more effective in that because it holds me accountable to do what I'm saying to that person. And yeah, I think that giving mindset and the fact that you do, like, let's say 1 out of 100 does change their business. I mean, you just radically change someone's life or business because of
Absolutely.
something that you did. And I think it's cool. Like Brian Vale did that for you just by seeing something in you, and look at you now. So if we look
Yeah, I
back
mean,
at, yeah, go
I
ahead.
totally agree with you. I think, and that's how I treat my staff, and that's how I treat my agents on my team. It's a giver's mentality. And I believe I'm not training, coaching, and mentoring my replacements or my competition.
Mm.
I'm creating people that are in line with me that have like-minded processes. So we can all go out and do better. The people that I talk to around the nation about business, I speak to hundreds and hundreds of realtors around the country. I'm not competing with them. And I'm not competing with the people here in Colorado Springs either. I have my own sphere, I have my own network, I get referred by my own people. I'm not I'm not competing with them.
Sure.
So why can't we collaborate and share and make our industry better for all of us instead of people being uninformed and not knowing how to take care of clients?
Well, we mentioned you're in Colorado Springs, and this is a little off topic. I see your backgrounds. It
Yeah.
looks like all that Colorado has to offer. What do you love about the real estate market, specifically in Colorado Springs?
I love the change and I love the opportunity that we have on a 3 to 4 year basis. So most of my business is military. And so it gives us an opportunity to serve that same client 2 or 3 times throughout their life here, if not multiple times, if they decide to retire here and they didn't buy their forever home when they first got here.
Mm,
And so being so military driven, about 95% of my business is military.
sure.
I love the opportunity to teach them and help them through their PCS or ETS process. It's very, very stressful to move a family. And I love having that opportunity to be a sounding board and make things as smooth as possible for them, whether they're moving out of state or they're moving up here in the area.
If you had to sell someone from out of state, I'm in Indiana. This is a national podcast, so you have people from all over the country. Why
Sure.
should I move to Colorado Springs?
It is phenomenal as far as scenery goes. There's so much to do year round here. Uh, Affordability is still, I think, pretty consistent with the rest of the country. We're not the cheapest place to live, but we're definitely not the most expensive. Property tax is pretty low here, but we do have state tax. Um, the mountains are like nothing you've ever seen before.
Are
They're
those
just
pictures in your background? Are those Colorado
this is
Springs?
this is all Colorado. Yep. So right behind me, I'm like right by my head there is Garden of the Gods.
So if you
So
guys are listening and you can't see this podcast, it looks like those, Apple backgrounds that are preloaded that are like
yeah,
perfect pictures. I mean, that's what
yeah,
you look at on a regular basis.
yeah. This is my view, and it's actually right out my office. So we back to I-25, which is the main highway that goes through Colorado. And the mountains are literally right on the other side of I-25. So I can just look out the window and see the mountains all day long.
Man,
Not that I stare out at the mountains all day, but they're here,
be hard not to.
right?
Well, I'd like to go back to that. What the catalyst was for, obviously you mentioned coaching, but what specifically changed that took you from 18 mil to 39 mil in a matter of a year? If you could go more granular with me and break it down, like you have five agents, 3 full-time staff, and you. So
Correct.
what changed in that year that made you just have a monster year?
The team development started to really take place. We really started to narrow down on our systems and processes, really kind of become experts at our ask when we're talking to clients about referrals. I've also done a tremendously great job networking around the country with other agents. So we get a lot of business from other agents around the country coming in to Colorado Springs. And then it gives us opportunity to make partners with those people. So when we have people that need to go out to other areas of the country, we have point of contacts that we know, like, and trust. And a
Sure.
lot of those people I've done Zoom meetings with, we've done a lot of face-to-face, I've seen them at conferences, really establishing relationships, which is more important to me than transactions. And we send out between 35 and 40 clients a year to other areas. And so I think really, truly, I guess the science of it all coming together really took place in 2021. We really had a lot of, not, I mean, failures are failures. They're there for reasons, so you can learn to do something differently and better. But we really kind of narrowed down and perfected our systems and processes on our database management of our current sphere.
Well, you mentioned networking nationally. You're the president of the National Realtors BNI Group,
I'm the
and
vice president.
vice president. So what I didn't realize there was a subgroup in BNI for just realtors. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Brad Seaman out of San Diego created this networking opportunity for BNI members. And there are over 1,400 members now. It's a national group from all over the country, and we actually get visitors through BNI from other countries as well now. And so we get Brazil and London, and we get some Canada people on, and it's been really great. I've been involved with that organization for a little over 2 years now. I've been in BNI in general in my local area for 8 years. And I love having like-minded individuals who all believe in that giver's mentality and believe in the relationship building aspect of their business to have a network of people to talk to.
That's not where you stop, though. You're also the Keller Williams Regional Ambassador for the military. So you're using you're using your networking, you're using your expertise in different fields, getting a part of specific groups that fit your mold, and then working it. I have to imagine that yields some great results.
It's tremendous. Absolutely. It accounts for a third of my business annually.
Which is the ambassadors for the military, or
Just outward networking in general.
outward? Yeah, those two.
Yeah.
What does that role look like, by the way, the Keller Williams Regional Ambassador for the military?
So I'm responsible for ensuring the outward education of market centers in the state of Colorado so that they understand why it's so important to take care of our military personnel, whether it's teaching classes on the VA loan or ETSing and PCSing processes. It's my job to make connections with each market center in the country so that they have a liaison point of contact military affiliate who can teach those classes within their market center and become really that subject matter expert. We call it the SME of kind of military growth and guidance on working with military personnel.
I think it goes without saying why you're so passionate, but what are you so passionate about? When you reach out to those markets, what are maybe a couple of your main points as to why they should get involved, taking care of military personnel when they're looking at getting into the housing market?
It's truly about serving and making sure that we can provide service to those that are serving for us. It's, of course, being retired, I have a warm spot for it. There's a lot of times where spouses, male or female, are trying to do all this on their own because their spouse is deployed. And that's a very, very stressful, difficult time for people to, number one, understand the process of what it's going to take to move, number one, how to do it, number two, with kids and family and maybe a spouse deployed, how to find the right property for them. So there's a lot of times where we'll actually do video tours and stuff like that for clients who aren't even here yet. It's always great, of course, if they can fly in and see the homes themselves, but sometimes that's just not an option. In the military, I've bought several homes without ever seeing it until the day we closed or the day we did our walkthrough. And so it's important for me to really kind of grow that outreach so that, especially here in Colorado, I mean, there's multiple states in the country that have a ton of military movement. And in Colorado, we have 50,000 troops here at all times between all branches. So there's a lot of movement in and out. And I believe it's important for us to understand that process, whether it's the loan or the actual ETS, PCS part of it.
So I'm not an agent, but I think if I'm an agent across the country hearing this, I would want to know, like, do you have to be a retired veteran to be a part of your training? Like, if you come into a marketplace and training on how to get involved with this program or just how to do it the right way, do I have to be a retired veteran, or is there any qualifications I need?
You don't. Nope. So you don't have to be specifically a veteran yourself. You can be a spouse or a supporting member of a veteran. And we have ambassadors in every region in Colorado, in the country. So there are ambassadors for every area. There's going to be market center leaders that have already been selected and trained up for this position that can help guide agents within their market centers on how to serve.
Well, it's a great program, and you've got a huge heart. That's kind of where I want to wrap up the conversation today, is your huge heart. You have 4 children, 26, 23, and 20, and 3. Let me repeat that. 26, 23, 20, and 3. There's a story there.
There is. Yeah. So we've done foster care my wife and I. My wife and I have been together 28 years, and it was near and dear to our heart to be able to give back to the community, and did foster care for several years here in the local area. And we actually even tried to do it once we got stationed at other bases, but I was only there a short period of time in some cases, so it didn't always work out. But a foster parent that we met in 2009 or 2010 had a sister who was having her 5th child, and she had already had a lot of difficulty taking care of her children. 2 of her children were already removed from the home for specific reasons, and she had 2 children at home, and she decided that she could not handle raising another child. So this friend of ours reached out to us and said, hey, my sister's having a child and she'd like to give it up for adoption. Would you guys be interested? And Jacob, our youngest biological, was 18 years old. And I'm like, absolutely not. I am done. I am not starting all over. I'm not going to be 63 when my son graduates from school. And a few weeks, my wife was almost an immediate yes. And throughout the next few weeks, we kind of prayed on it. We really kind of talked a lot about it. And God kind of talked to me and said, you're being selfish. Everything that you're considering for not doing this because you can't go out on the boat as often, or you can't go travel, or you can't do this, or you can't go out on a date whenever you want to with your wife, are all selfish things. And the opportunity to give back to another life is so profound and overwhelming. And from that very moment, we decided to move forward and do it. And so we found out about Avi about 3 months or so before he was born. He was born May 29th, 2020. We had to fly to Arizona right in the middle of the heat of COVID. And it was a ghost town in Arizona. It was a weird, weird feeling, but we were so blessed. My wife was given the opportunity to be in the room for the birth. And so she was actually able to cut the cord. And then she was the first one to actually hold Avi. And the birth mom decided that she didn't want to hold him. And she actually had asked for Avi and my wife to be given a private room so that they could bond. And so 5 days later, we got clearance to fly home with him back to Colorado. And the chaos ensued from there.
Well, no doubt. I mean, if your youngest is 18, just graduating, I don't think it's abnormal for you to have thoughts of, finally, I'm an empty nester, get these kids out of here.
Right.
Okay, now we're going to start over.
Yeah.
But listening to God's voice, you definitely feel like you've made the right call. And 3 years later, you've got a little bundle of joy.
Without a doubt. Yeah. We fortunately were able to finalize the adoption August 19th of last year. And it was such a tremendous feeling. The video is actually on YouTube and Facebook. So we had a videographer come and kind of record the whole thing. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. And to be able to, I guess, save Avi from a life of unknown and bring him into a life of beauty and care and love has been tremendous. My kids love him. My biological kids, my mother-in-law just adores him. She now lives with us to help with him. And so it's just been such a blessing. He's absolutely incredible. We adore him. He's getting ready to start preschool. I mean, like, all these things that I thought we were done with are all kind of back at us. Yeah.
Well, what a unique life you have lived and are living, Jamie. This has been Jamie Krakofsky. If Jamie, if you had to sum up your thoughts of encouragement and hope, or just direction in this real estate market in the world right now, what are your final thoughts?
Build relationships, take care of people. Don't worry about the transaction, because the money will come in if you take care of people.
I love it. Where can we find you? Where can we follow your career if we're trying to get in touch and refer you out there in Colorado Springs?
Absolutely. So you can visit the Krakofsky team website. So it's the krakofskyteam.com, where you can call the office or my cell anytime, 719-249-2905, or my cell, 719-231-9544, where we cover Colorado Springs and the surrounding areas. And we just love taking care of referrals.
Only a realtor would put their cell phone number on a national podcast and say, call me. I love it. That's some Bob Goff level stuff right there. Well,
absolutely.
Just a reminder for those listening, we are in 130 markets nationwide. If we are not in your market and you want us to be, either have a call with someone from our recruiting team or send someone you think would be a good candidate. If we are in your market, I would encourage you, if you are a top 300 or 500 realtor, to get involved in the events, and obviously look forward to that magazine every single month. Jamie, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
We'll see you next time on the Real Producers Podcast.